Hi there. Hope you're well. I've been thinking to do this session for a while. Seems like it's important to give some explanation, some insight into my own meditation practice and how I see that it works, and maybe how you could then adapt your own practice or notice or look towards some of these ideas. First of all, sit up straight. Close your eyes. Just check in with your body. Check how it's feeling. Look for tension. Look for tiredness. Do you have a relaxed breath? And then checking in with your mind. Is your mind steady, light and relaxed, open and clear? And then have a big breath in and a deep sigh. Just checking on this feeling. If you've been doing any of my sessions, you'll know that I pretty much always start this way. Why? Because we're setting the foundation for the right frame of mind by becoming present, checking in on the body, the feeling of the body, the feeling of the breath, and noticing the subtleties of our mental state. Checking our level of awareness, and checking whether this mind is ready to be useful right now. So if I practice this regularly, I will familiarize myself with more subtle awareness, noticing more things, simply by repeating this practice many times, on different days, at different times, learning about it, the way that I would learn about anything in life. Okay, open your eyes. I'm going to try and explain things, so there'll be a bit of talking in this session. It's probably useful while you're sitting there to do slow, deep breathing through the nose. Gentle breathing, slow all the way in towards full, and slow, nice and easy all the way down towards empty. Just keep going like that, up and down. If that feels comfortable, and at any time you feel like you need to stop and have a rest, that's fine. Okay, so meditation practice. How does it work? Well, it's like anything that we learn or study. We gain knowledge and insight through repetition. And that's why people say, you need to practice every day, for example, or regularly. You need to keep coming back to this place of observation, this focus. And usually it's a focus on the mind or the body. So in yoga, stretching practice, you're coming back to your body regularly, checking in, learning about it, observing it, gaining more understanding of it over time, and then you become the manager of your own physical health. Now, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, says that we should also practice every day mental hygiene. And what he means there is monitor the health of your own emotional and mental states. And that's what meditation is generally about. Now, the idea of practice is that we are learning things about ourselves and about how our mind works and how we are relating to the world that we live in and how we seem to have lots of problems. We struggle, we get caught up, we resist, we have fear, we have lots of negative responses, anxieties about life. And according to yoga and Buddhism, there are reasons for why we live that way. We mostly do that out of habit, very much to do with our conditioning. And so the practice, the study of meditation, is to really watch for that, to reflect and consider, is that what my mind does? Now, because generally we have poor lack of awareness, or you could say it another way, because generally it's very difficult to sustain awareness, then by stopping again and again and taking the time to look, we can distinguish where our awareness is at. But really today I wanted to talk about practice and how practice works through repetition. So, I'm going to explain to you what my practice is. Now, probably 2 years ago, I was not meditating every day. And really, now that I think about that, I think my level of awareness, therefore, was very poor. How could it be otherwise? Then I found a way to practice every day. And that started to feel really good, really helpful, because I was interested in really studying my mind, and I needed to do that at least every day because my mind was changing all the time, but also was totally out of control, and I had no insight into that. Then I started practicing morning and night. Not every day, but many times, and now I definitely want to meditate every morning and night. And I've got a routine, a practice that I do, my meditation practice. This is separate from my yoga, stretching, physical practice. The physical stuff is the preparation, the beginner work in yoga and insight development. The body is a good place to start. Then we have breath work, which really prepares us to do the mental work of meditation. So, what I realized is that every morning when I wake up, my mind is already all over the place, racing, lack of awareness, still affected by my dreams, and then by the ideas of what I want to do in the day. So it's really good for me to stop, settle myself, and you could say wash or cleanse my mind, practicing mental hygiene. And that's what my meditation practice is. And this clears me, but also sets me on track. I have an idea of how I would like to be in the world, and I know that I really need to align myself with that mentally and check in, because so many of my habits are not aligned with that. Okay, so I will do that every morning, and then at the end of the day, I want to check in again and realign myself with my ideals and with my intentions. So here's the mind training and meditation practices that I do every morning and night. Now I use books, teachings, mind training. So I start with this book, Deepak Chopra, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. This is a book I've added recently, and I find it very helpful. It's a great book. I'll read you one verse, and this will give you an idea. Applying the law of detachment. Now he's explained this in this chapter already, and then we've just got a little reiteration at the end of the chapter. Today I will commit myself to detachment. I will allow myself and those around me the freedom to be as they are. I will not rigidly impose my idea of how things should be. I will not force solutions on problems. So there's some ideas, And I like those ideas, those intentions. They seem to me quite logical based on what I've been learning about my own mind and its self-cherishing obsession. And so I find that this book is helping me. And by reminding myself of those ideas, morning and night, I start to feel, gee, a lot of the time during the day I forget this. That's why I need to remind myself, morning and night, because I very easily get distracted and lost and caught up in dramas, problems, all of my opinions about other people, my negative attitudes and moods. So I come back to this and I go, yeah, that's where I want to be. Alright, next book, the Heart Sutra. This is one of the teachings of the Buddha, the Heart Sutra. And this is about understanding emptiness. So I really wanted to do more work on learning about that. So I got this book, and it's actually quite small, the Heart Sutra. It's only a page and a half. And then the rest of this book was explaining that and also showing different translations and different approaches to this sutra with different language. It's very detailed and insightful, and it gives you a subtle information that makes me think, I see what they mean. For example, when someone uses a different word for emptiness like boundlessness, maybe that makes more sense to me. It does actually. But then I come back to emptiness and I think, I see what that means when someone talks about it in a slightly different way. So that's how I'm learning about what this really means, emptiness. So, here's the start of the Heart Sutra. Realizing wisdom beyond wisdom, see that all 5 streams of body, heart and mind are without boundary. Anyway, there's a larger piece there, but that's a teaching on emptiness. And what happens with this book is I read it and I think, gee, I don't even really understand that. And then I read it again another day and I go, maybe that little bit makes sense. And then a year later I'm still reading it and then I think, now I think I know what they mean. I can feel that because my mind is changing as I'm adapting to this new way of looking at things and new understanding. And that's what happens. You just keep going. And that's why you need to repeat, train, repeat, study. When you do yoga practices, you repeat them again and again. So when you do these meditation videos, I really recommend that you go back to the start and repeat them all again. And you will find the second time that, now I understand what he means. Partly because you're more used to the language now. That's very important. But also, as you keep changing, you will start seeing things in different ways. Ways that you didn't know about before, simply because you couldn't see them. And that's why the physical yoga stretching and the breathing videos that I've been putting up on this yoga channel, this yoga path, with the mind training meditation videos, they're all designed to go together, and they help you change, and they help you along the path of change, where you start to see things that you didn't recognize before, simply because you weren't looking in that direction. Okay, the next book, His Holiness, one of my favorite books, the Dalai Lama, How to See Yourself as You Really Are. Pretty interesting title. Someone told me a story that a Buddhist nun said to them, if there was ever a book by His Holiness that you might want to read, it's this one. And I don't know about all these other books, but I certainly consider this of high value. So this is a practical guide to self-knowledge, and this is a step-by-step teaching on how to understand dependent arising and emptiness. And I'm, I think, in my 3rd or 4th read now of this book. So every day as part of my morning and evening practice, I might read 1 page, but gradually I move through the text and then start again and read through the text and start again. And it might take 6 months to do 1 read, but 6 months later I'm understanding it more and then I start again. maybe you should stop your breathing and have a break. Relax, close your eyes, have a sigh. Let's just be still and quiet. Absorbing all those ideas, all that information. Okay, so just have a resting breath now. I'm talking fairly quickly, I apologize, but there's a lot to fit in here and I don't want to make this a 50-minute session. Okay, what's the next one? So, by the way, I change these books at times. Maybe I start working on Tibetan Dream Yoga or something like that, and so I'll be reading that book for a while. Or I've got some great books on Zen Buddhism, and I might think, now it's time to study a bit of that. So I'll introduce that into my daily reading program. So this is study. This is meditation study and mind training. This is a good book, an interesting one. The Tao Te Ching. This is something that I've loved for quite a while. Taoism. And this is a new translation by Ursula Le Guin, a really significant modern female writer. And so I was very interested that she'd done a translation of this. So here's something from Taoism. Be completely empty. Be perfectly serene. The 10,000 things arise together. In their arising is their return. Now they flower, and flowering sink homeward, returning to the root. The return to the root is peace. It's a beautiful book, the Tao Te Ching. Okay, so I only read just one page of that. Then I have, this is one of my favorite yoga texts, Avadhuta Gita. And it's the Song of the Ever Free. It's a book on non-duality. And what I've been doing for about 6 months is I've just picked one verse that I repeat 3 times. So let's do it. Close your eyes. This book explains what enlightenment feels like. See if you can understand this feeling. Repeat this in your mind. I am without beginning, middle, and end. I am never bound. By nature, I am pure and perfect. This is my firm conviction. Okay, so I do that 3 times, but what's really important is I don't just repeat the words. What I need to do is just try to feel that, to understand that feeling. The enlightened person who wrote that is explaining what freedom feels like, what it looks like. They're using words to describe it, something that really isn't able to be described by words, but they're trying to help. So I really like that one. Then I read from I Am That, and there's a section that I've been repeating for a few months now, morning and night. I read a couple pages of this each time. The question, do things happen as you want them to happen? Or do you want them to happen as they happen? Answer, both. I accept and am accepted. I am all, and all is me. Being the world, I am not afraid of the world. Being all, what am I to be afraid of? That's just a part of it. He's such a great teacher, Nisargadatta Maharaj. Okay, something I added about a year or 2 ago, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. It's a really fantastic and helpful book if you want to learn about your mind. So, What I usually do is I do a being present exercise first, sitting and being aware of the space, noticing things like colors and shapes and sounds. That's a really good practice, practicing being present. And after that, when I have absorbed myself in that feeling, then I just remind myself of an intention. When you honor, acknowledge, and fully accept your present reality, where you are, who you are, what you are doing right now, when you fully accept what you have got, you are grateful for what you have got, grateful for what is, grateful for being. Gratitude for the present moment and the fullness of life now is true prosperity. It cannot come in the future. Then in time, that prosperity manifests for you in various ways. And then I think of things that I'm really lucky to have, really grateful about. The opportunities I have in my life to practice, to teach, to play, to spend time with people that I really appreciate. So lucky to be living in Australia where the government generally supports me and the medical system is there if I need it. So I'm pretty lucky. So I realize that I have great prosperity. Okay, coming towards an end now. More teachings on emptiness. This to me is very important and a fast track to freedom. So I have Lama Zopa Rinpoche, How Things Exist, Teachings on Emptiness. This is where I do my most solid work, I imagine. I've also recently bought a mala and I do a little meditation practice first. Try it, close your eyes. This is loving kindness meditation. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May all beings be free from pain and suffering. May all beings be filled with love and kindness. And then I do a full mala of Om Mani Padme Hum. And then at the end of that, I again repeat that verse, reiterating my intention and studying the feeling of it. It's really important to move from concept to feeling. And that's why we practice. We need to keep engaging with these ideas and feelings, and we start to become them. And we let go of things that are in opposition to them, like self-cherishing, for example. Most of these practices are designed to help you relinquish self-cherishing. Okay, How Things Exist, Teachings on Emptiness. Alright, this is a knockout. This is something you could do, but I'd probably need to teach you about it personally. Don't forget, you can always do private sessions with me on using Zoom, and I always try to have a fair price, and it's really great to work with people individually as you work on your own meditation practice and mind training. So, close your eyes. Now, I'm just going to describe what I do. One of 5 rounds that I will do. I'll just give you an abbreviated version of this practice. There are 55 verses or parts, and I'll just give you 5 of them. So, my mind is a base to be labeled my mind and is empty of inherent existence. And then I will do this for the I, Toby, my wife, my cat, my mother, other people, all things. And what I need to do here then is feel that with understanding. Next verse. My mind is merely imputed by thought and is boundless. And then I will do that for the I, Toby, my wife, my cat, my mum, my dad, other people, all things. And I absorb myself into the feeling. Next round. My mind is dependent arising and not self-instituting. Dependent on a base and labelled by thought. And I'll do that for each of the other subjects. The 4th round. My truly existent mind is the object to be refuted. And then the last round, the fifth round, my mind is empty of inherent existence and boundless as space. And remember, you need to understand this and then absorb yourself in the feeling of it. And as I practice that understanding, that wisdom and insight and feeling, I start to change. And it feels right every time I do it. It feels like I get my mind in the right place. That's why I do it in the morning before I go out and interact with other people. I want to have these understandings in order. Okay, then I finish up with the 8 worldly concerns, which we've been working on in the mind training videos. I check, have I been doing this lately? Desire for happiness, fear of suffering, desire for importance, fear of insignificance, desire for praise, fear of criticism, desire for gain, fear of loss. So if I'm upset about anything, then I can just look at these 8 and go, oh, that's what I'm doing. Again, why do I keep getting caught up unnecessarily in that net, in that drama? And then I finish with the 8 verses of thought transformation. So here's one of them. Determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I shall hold them most dear at all times. And something I've started to add to this is, I, the I that is empty, shall hold them most dear at all times. So I'm adapting this practice over time, if that makes any sense to you. Alright, now don't forget, of course, I will include meditation periods where I practice calm abiding, doing breath work, square breathing, bandhas. So there's a full practice. It's not just these texts. But this is a meditation practice. And imagine if you did this every morning and night for 5 years. Well, you'd be very different to now. That's all you can know. Will you feel better? Will you be happier? Probably. I'm sure of that, and that's why I'm doing it. And I don't want to miss doing this. Not at all. Alright, hopefully that's been helpful in some way. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry that it was so full of talking and information. Anyway, let's have a sigh, have a big breath in, and a deep breath. Thank you very much. Take care.